Good morning, friends. It's feeding time, and I just fill the girls up and boys with a little bit of chicken feed. And I've got my babies are doing pretty good. They're just growing like crazy. I had one issue last night with one of my buff Brahmas. When I came in here and she was laying flat on the ground right here, and somehow she had gotten her beak stuck and she could not get up. So I got her up, and I don't know if you've ever gone fishing or not, but her beak was hooked like if I had gone fishing and hooked her with a hook. And I had a dickens of a time getting that hook out of the side of her beak. It was like stuck in her nose hole somehow. Not on this side, on the other side. Let's see if I can get it close enough to where you can kind of see. I know, baby girl. I bet it hurts. So I got it out, and I put some Vetericin on it. And I don't know if you can see it or not, but she was bleeding, and so I washed it off. The other ones immediately started picking at the blood. And I'm like, oh no, we're not doing that. No, we're not doing that. So I put her in here by herself for overnight so that she could kind of heal up a little bit before I put her back. And that's a bad thing too. You take them out from the group to keep them from pecking on them because they got something wrong with them. And I'll tell you what, you put them back in there with them and they're going to peck on them anyway because they were gone. You know, it never quits. It's never simple. So I had a friend of mine who also follows my YouTube channel and got chickens and was asking me some questions about flies. And I wanted to show you this about flies right here. Look at this. So yeah, I use these and I put them in areas where the chickens can't get to them. And look how full they are. I mean, they are all full. And I find that I have the most issues with the rabbits, underneath the rabbits. I don't know why, but I do. And this one right here, I don't know, I had to come out. I'm so glad I'm retired because I come out here 2 to 3 times a day. And this little girl, what happened? Oh, my hand. This little girl dumps her water and it goes down here and it's making a mell of a hess. Look at that. And so the flies are just loving that too. But the flies were here before she started doing that. So I froze some bottles and put the bottles in with them. Froze some water in some bottles, I guess I should say. They were, you know, like juice bottles and mayonnaise bottles, and I put them in the freezer and, you know, 3/4 of the way full, and then I bring them in here and I put them in their water bowl, or I'll put them in there beside them and they take off running. They are scared to death of the water bottles. I'm like, what is that all about? So, you know, the people that tell you that they have rabbits and they freeze water bottles for them whenever it gets really, really hot, I don't know about their rabbits. They might be different than my rabbits, but my rabbits, they're scared of them. They're scared of a water bottle. Okay, now the second issue I have is look at this baby duck, the one in the front. Look at it with its beak in the air. Look how big its craw is. This one does not stop eating. It's to the point that it can't even breathe, and I'm not really sure if it's going to be able to live or not. I don't know, all of a sudden these girls took off running over here for this little, like somebody laid an egg that was a really thin-shelled egg. No? It was something that they took off. Oh, I know what it is. This little girl right here, she can't get down on the floor anymore. It's too much of a stress on her feet. I cut her claws the other day because, oh my goodness, they were so long. And they're better and she's walking better, but she doesn't get down very good. So I gave her some scratch up there, and then I just gave her some feed up there. so she wouldn't have to go over and fight for it. Because once they start having some issues with their health, the other ones will push them off. No, you don't get to eat. You're not healthy enough. You don't do anything for us, so we're not going to do anything for you. You don't get to eat. So I still have these three over here that are sitting, and they don't want to anymore, but guess what? They're going to get to keep sitting because it makes me very, very tired. I don't know why my phone is all of a sudden just got real, I don't know, foggy looking. Must be the heat out here, but they're still sitting, and there's three of them here, and there's one of them here. And these two said, no, we are not gonna sit anymore. That's it, we're done, it's toast. And I said, no, you two always want to just go in and poop in the nest box. So that's what you're gonna get to do. You're just gonna get to stay there, kind of like in timeout, until everybody has their babies, and then you can get out too. But until then, you're stuck. That's what you're doing. So I bring them food and water, and more food and water, and more. Look what they've done to the eggs. They pooped all over the eggs. The eggs wouldn't make any way. And then this little girl, she hardly won't get up either. Those little black girls, they love being mothers. They love sitting on nests. Well, you remember the 100-mile-an-hour wind that got my door. One of my really good friends owns an overhead door company, I think that's what it's called. And so he came and he shored it up with some angle iron and showed me how I can open it and close it for now, because the day he came out, he said that they had sold the very last 16-foot door and they did not have any more and didn't know when they were going to get any. So here I am stuck having to use a hoe. Here's my hoe. There's my hoe to push it up right here where it's all bent in. It's like your backbone. If it's smashed together, it's not going to move. And so he's got them all like this to try and keep it as straight as it possibly can be. So if I push up right here, then I can use my other hand and pull down on the garage door. And I tell you what, you can see that it's already 89 degrees in here, and it's supposed to be a real feel of 107 degrees today, which is going to be so hot you can't even breathe. I have fly strips on this side too. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4 right here. I've got 2 more over here and 1 up there. And let's see, I got 2 over here of this kind. And I tell you, they are not letting up. They are absolutely not letting up. So I've been up since about 2 o'clock this morning, and I'm not sure why, but I know that I get tired earlier at night and I get up earlier in the morning until I just exhaust myself, and then all of a sudden things go back to normal again. So I'm just kind of on that one spot where, you know, I just don't even know when I'm supposed to sleep and when I'm supposed to be awake, but I don't have to be anywhere at any certain time, so it works. So if you notice right here, I threw a whole bunch of the stuff out of the garden this morning. I got out here at about let's see, 6:30, something like that, when it was nice and cool. And I had my potatoes right here, and I have dug now 2.5 rows, which they weren't really even all full rows anyway, and they're not that big. They're like about, I don't know, 15 feet long, something like that maybe. And so I've still got, in all of that, I've still got more, and I'm just a little bit concerned about snakes in there. So I'm not going to go very fast, and I've got my pitchfork and my shovel. I had to buy me a new pitchfork because I didn't have the right one. So Amazon had the right one. It was $10 and it's metal. So that's good. But the bad thing is is I had, and I knew this, but I couldn't get into my garden for a long, long time, and then it grew up into this kind of stuff, and I wasn't going out there. And the deal is with potatoes, it was real loose ground when I did it, and I was going to keep pulling dirt over to each individual row, which is, you can see how long these are. Let's see. This is a potato. It's not a really long one. Some of them are longer than that. This right here is a potato. You can see how long this top is right here. So here is where the potatoes are. And if you was to go ahead and put dirt all the way up there, just keep pulling dirt to it and keep pulling dirt to it, all of that would turn into a root system, and all of that would grow potatoes, and you'd have a whole bunch of potatoes on every one of your plants. And the way it is right now, I'm not really concerned about digging them all right now, but I need to give them some water and let them have a little bit of more growth time. But they still have green on the top, so they're not totally. One of them was starting to grow when the potatoes that was underground was starting to grow. So that one is a good thing I got to it. But here's a couple of tomatoes that came up in the potato row, and I just left them because I figured, you know, by the time they start making tomatoes, the potatoes will be gone. And I was pretty much right. And I don't know what it is about my ground. The potato on the right, can't even talk. The tomato on the right is aroma, and on the left it could be aroma, but I haven't really decided what it is yet. I don't know, Romas must be some kind of really strong strain of tomato, because every time I have tomatoes that come up on their own, they're almost always Romas. That's not my favorite kind, but they're all right. They're okay. So these are Anaheim peppers, and I had to end up putting 7 dust on them because everything in my garden was getting killed by grasshoppers and every kind of bug you can even imagine. Look at my green beans. Those were 2 full rows, and now they're just getting. I think I saw some cutworms that was cutting them off right at the root, where the root meets the top of the plant. So I put some dust on those too, and these tomatoes are finally coming out and doing all right. I don't know if it's going to be too hot for them to make or not. I guess we'll wait and see. I've been watering the bottoms and not the tops, and I've got one squash right there, and I don't know what it's doing, but it's not doing much. And I've got a couple more pepper plants right down here. But what I really wanted to show you was, and look at all of these. All of these is some of those. So I did that this morning too while I was out here. I had to clear me a path. So I ordered some strawberries, and I wanted to put them in a raised bed. So I ordered some, and they were bare root, and I ordered the fire pit from Tractor Supply, and it came. And I went over to our local nursery and got some dirt that was it's half dirt that they raised mushrooms in, and half is, what do they call it, sandy loam. And so I knew that I had some of this plastic. It's a pretty good gauge plastic. I don't know what it is, but I had to go find it. And I had the landscaping cloth, and I had to go find it. And I don't know, it just seemed like it takes. And my son needed a freezer, deep freeze, and so he got one, and he gave me this, which is kind of cool. It acts like a greenhouse. It's going to be 100 million degrees today, and this is going to treat it like a greenhouse. And so you can see that I just planted this a day or two ago. See if I can get that to pop up there. And you can see that they're starting to come out. And I had so many, I planted them in here. You're supposed to plant them a foot apart. And I was like, ooh, foot apart, that's not big enough. So I went and got me, and I thought, you know, some of them might not make either. You never can tell. But they look like they're doing really good as long as I put that on top of them. But whenever I take it off, no, they start looking bad. I water them every morning. And I put some of them in that one just in case too. So that if I had some bare spots over here, or I had another one that I decided that I wanted to do more, then I could do that too. So I'm kind of excited about these because my grandson really loves the strawberries. I put this on top for a little bit more shade. Got another tomato that came up on its own right here. This is some oregano I planted. It's doing pretty good. And friends, this is just absolutely heartbreaking. I mean, the first 2 turkeys that I got, the first one died, and then the second one died. So I went back and got this one before the second one died. It died the next day, and it peeped and peeped and peeped and peeped. It was just so lonely. It wanted a friend. So the only friends that they had was the white ones. And I went out there the next day, and the brown one was standing on the white one. I mean, just standing on it. And I said, what are you doing? Get off of that one. I don't know if it's a her or a him. Get off. And so it got off, but I went out there again. It was back on top of it. And I went out there again. It was back on top of it. And I was like, oh no. And it already had ruined something about its legs and something about its, I don't know, do turkeys have disjointed hips like some dogs get, you know, like that's just a thing with them? I don't know. But this poor baby, it can't walk anymore. And all it does is that. That's all it does. So I've got it water out here, and I bring it food, and it just mashes it into the ground. And I'm sorry, I can't kill anything. I don't know what to do. You know, I'm asking for a miracle. I really am. I want it to be able to live. It wants to live so bad, but I just don't think that it's going to make it. And you know, it's like Dusty Baker said. He's got Cross Timbers bison, and they just had a red dog that died. It had a baby that was born stillborn, and he was talking about, you know, he said, I thought about not showing you guys this, but it's part of what we do. And my goodness, my phone got hot and just stopped. It said, no, you got to get out of the heat. It can't work anymore. Look at here. This is what I dug this morning. I had already dug some, and so this is what I dug this morning. One of my friends came by this morning and brought me a couple of different things. He brought me these from the local farmer's market. Looky there, for my girls. There's 7 or 8 of them. And then he brought me these for my girls. They're a little bit old and they can't sell them, and so they give them to him, and when he's there, and he brings them to me, and I gave him a few potatoes, and life is good, you know. But I don't know, like I was telling you, I don't know if I'm gonna even, I mean, I didn't know if I was even gonna show you my turkey and my chick and all of that, because it's just sad, you know, and you don't really want people to know how hard being a farmer is. Looky here at my flowers. I've got a, ow, boy, that hurt. You know, when you don't use your feet for feet, and you put shoes on them, and then you go outside barefooted and you step on a rock, whoo, that sends you to China. So these look horrible. We got these at Sutherland's this year, me and a friend, my next door neighbor, and I have not been happy. Look how crappy that hanging basket is. And the zinnias didn't do anything. They were just horrible. And so I took that one down there, and I'm going to put it in the ground and see if it does any better. I was going to do that a little bit ago, but I got company and had to stop and didn't get finished. But so I hung up my geranium that I had right here because I really needed that for my cup. You know, that's the only flat surface that I have. Look at all these little ants. I don't know if you can see the ants just running around. Yeah, there might not be 1 or 2 of them or 3 or 4 of them here and there. But boy, you sit something down and they are all after it. So my flowers are starting to dry up and not looking too good. But you know what? They need water. And they'll be just fine. I don't know if they're going to be just fine this afternoon, though. The ones in the front, they need deadheaded. So I'll deadhead those. But the ones in the middle, those are impatiens, and they get too much sunlight and they won't do anything. They'll just die. So when it starts getting hot, I'm going to come out here and just mist them. And that'll help them a lot. And then these rose moss, I mean, they're just beautiful. I've always loved rose moss, though. My mom had that when I was young, and I told her I just loved them. And so she gave me some seeds to plant from one of the ones that she had, and I planted them. That was one of the first things I ever planted in my whole life. And the Dusty Miller and the Coleus was supposed to be the 3rd row, and they were supposed to get thick, just kind of like the impatiens did. But all they want to do is, the Coleus I've never seen do as bad as those are doing right there. I even put Osmocote in there, and for all of them, and watered them the same as I'm watering everything else, and they have just been crappy. You can see this one, I mean, it's not even any bigger than when I planted it. This one is, but it's just nothing but a ball. You know, and whenever I had them before, and I put them in water, they would just get stringy and tall. And the Dusty Miller, this one is okay, but they all want to fall over. You know, I had them all planted side by side. Look at that. It just wants to fall over. And this one didn't make it. It's look how short it is, or it's fallen over, one or both. And then there's another Coleus that didn't do anything. It's just stuck. But this color of Coleus right here, you can see how it's just stuck. You know, the 3rd row just didn't do good. And it took the 2nd row a while to outshine the 1st row. The 1st row was supposed to be 4 to 6 inches tall. The 2nd was supposed to be 6 to 8 inches tall. The 3rd row was supposed to be 10 to 12 inches tall. Well, you can see what happened to the 3rd row. It fell over on the 1st row or a 2nd row, or else it just didn't even make, period. My youngest son bought me this for Mother's Day. Isn't it beautiful? It's doing really well. And I bought this little hosta. It's already bloomed. And this is a asparagus fern. It's doing really well. This right here is a dragon something. Snapdragon, that's what it is. And the reason it's called a snapdragon is because whenever you pull one of these off and you pinch it like that, wait, let's see if I don't know if it'll do it. It's not really that wet. It's supposed to look like a dragon. I don't know. Does it look like a dragon? Maybe. Let's look at this one. Let's do it with it on there. It's this way. No, it doesn't look like a dragon like they do on in the book. And you have to deadhead all this stuff. If you don't deadhead it, it just won't come back. It'll just stop growing. They'll say, okay, we're done this year and we're not going to do any more. But if you deadhead it, it'll come back. And I don't know, isn't this pretty though? Look at this one. That's beautiful. And can't hardly see it in the shade, but it sure is beautiful. And this Persian thing, it started curling up its leaves, and I thought, well, boy, that looks like it needs water, or it's too hot. So I took it in the house and I watered it, and it didn't do anything different. It actually looked like it was getting worse. And I put it in some morning sun in the house, and it just still looked horrible. So I thought, well, I'm gonna take it back outside and put it in the shade. And it's doing better. I guess we'll wait and see. I just haven't found the right spot for it, but it sure wasn't doing very good out there in that spot I had it in over there. And my long stem Dick Clark roses is doing pretty good. It just bloomed, and I just tossed it off, but it looks like it's going to have another one. It's ever blooming. It doesn't bloom just once a year, and you can see where I was doing those. I better get back to it, or else it's going to be dead. I like pink and yellow together. I think that's so pretty. And these snapdragons were pretty with this one too. And then I planted some what is this called? Melicium, I think. And it's purple and white and I don't know, pink, I think. So I just got a few because they were free, because they weren't doing very well at the mill where I bought my where I buy my feed. So I thought, well, I'll do that. And then these, I don't know what they are, but I've had these a lot of years. These are white, and whenever the flowers fall off, the seed pods, you can throw them down and they'll go bing, and they'll just go everywhere. It's kind of like snapping, you know. I don't know what they are, but this is where I have my shade up for the girls and for the afternoon sun, because they just don't have anywhere to go whenever it gets really, really hot. And I built that little monstrosity for them. I had a swimming pool in here for them. Nah, neither one of them wanted a swimming pool, and it got real deep, and I mowed yesterday, and it really looks bad, but I grazed it on purpose. But yeah, it's going to be 107 degrees today, and my peach trees are doing pretty good. You can see those are doing real good. Those should be good morning and afternoon sun for the dogs, because one's on the east side and one's on the west side. I better get back inside because my phone is heating up again in this sun. It doesn't take it long. So y'all have a wonderful day and a better tomorrow, and I'll see you on the next one. Like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much.